Two electric sedans. On your right, we have the Audi S6 e-tron. On your left, you have the Lucid Air Touring. This is the mid-grade for the Air because there's a Grand Touring above it. Well, and there's a Sapphire, but we're not talking about that today. And then this is the range topper for the A6 e-tron lineup. $88,000. This one's equipped over $100,000. You can get it for less. Which of these models is better? We're going to drive them both in town as well on the highway, and then at the end we're going to cross shop the two and put it on the spreadsheet of all the cars I've driven so far this year. How do they stack up not only against each other, but of every model I've driven in 2025. You're not going to want to miss this. That was a touchscreen button, and this one was an old school physical latch to get the hood open. I have not looked underneath the hood of either of these vehicles this week. Just haven't needed to. Do I need to open this again? What happened there? Do I need to hold it? Is it one of those things you need to hold? Yes, I'm holding the button right now. There we go. That's pretty impressive. All right, the Audi's definitely opens a little bit wider here. Huh. Well, massive front trunk, or you could call it a frunk. There's a little light in here. Oh, and there's a second floor underneath. You could fit a ton of stuff in here. Absolutely massive. I mean, the trunk size here is about like 2 Miata sizes trunks. All right, and there's a button if you get trapped to go ahead and open it. I like the carpet, a little air badge here. Pretty nice. There's no, padding underneath here, but I mean, the rest of the trunk is lined in padding. Pretty darn cool. There's a leaf stuck in that air channeler there. Dual latches here for better rigidity, like the electric opening clamshell frunk there. All right, well, styrofoam, dual shocks, which is nice and opens up nice and big. Very small frunk. And I guess this is a good opportunity to start talking about powertrains. Well, you're not gonna see any engines under the hood, obviously, electric sedans. All right, I gotta get the spreadsheet out because there's all sorts of different motor configurations between these two sedans. Not necessarily on these specific grades, but the A6 has different power outputs and the Air can have different power outputs as well. All right, so both of these can come, like the A6 can come in rear wheel drive, Lucid Air can come in the pure mode with rear wheel drive, 430 horsepower to 375 when you're talking about rear wheel drive only. This Touring has 620 horsepower, while this range topping S6 has 543 when you enable the launch mode. Regular, it is only 496 horsepower. Now, I will put on the screen what they weigh, what the S6 weighs and what this Touring model weighs. All right, this one has a 92 usable kilowatt hour battery pack, and this one has a 95 usable kilowatt hour battery pack. So the Audi seemingly has a bigger buffer here. A 5 kilowatt hour buffer. The battery is actually 100 kilowatts. This one's 94 kilowatts with a 2 kilowatt hour buffer. Now, this is the biggest battery pack you can get on the A6 S6 e-tron lineup. The Grand Touring comes with a 118 kilowatt hour battery pack. 112 of that is usable. In terms of range, well, I'll tell you what my range is, but on paper, this one gets 377. And then if you get the biggest battery pack on the Grand Touring, supposedly you can get over 500 miles of range. This one is rated at 302 miles of range with these 21-inch wheels. And then if you get the rear wheel drive model, you can get close to 400 miles of range, not quite. So this one about 300 on paper, this one about 377 on paper head to head. They both charge at about the same rates DC. This is 270 kilowatts, this is 300 kilowatts. So they both charge 10 to 80% in about 20 minutes or so. The Lucid has a big advantage when it comes to AC charging. It can charge up to 19 kilowatts AC, 80 amps, which is just insane. I can max out this with my level 2 at 40 amps. So this charges around a little over 9 kilowatts. I mean, I don't know who's charging AC at home over 9 kilowatts, over 12 kilowatts max, but this car can do it, which is absolutely absurd to have that sort of amperage going to your EV. What's cool about this car is that you can limit the amperage it pulls. So I have it only pulling like 30 amps because That's all I need for it to charge overnight. And this car, it just pulls the maximum that it can. You can't adjust the amperage, at least from what I've seen. Maybe you can do it on an app or something. Ooh, I didn't close it all the way. Jeez. You really got to slam it, but man, that sounds amazing when you slam it. Now, do I just press a button here? You better get your head out of the way because there is no warning. That thing came down so fast. Oh my gosh, both of these cars also have soft closed doors. Check this out, all the way around. Boom, this soft closes so fast, it freaks me out a little bit. I kind of like the more delayed and real soft close approach of the Audi's soft closing doors. Of course, the big dump truck is going by because there's massive construction going on in my neighborhood. It closes so fast. Here's a charge port on the Lucid. It's a combo port, DC fast charge. It's a CCS1 over here. Now, let's get to the Audi because the Audi has two different ports. One port is DC fast charge. Is it gonna open? Gosh, look how slow that is. The Lucid opens really fast, but it is, the only ways that I've gotten the Lucid to open is through the touchscreen. I'm sure you could do it on the app as well. So anyways, this is your level 1 charger. Pretty cool. Let's go ahead and close that. And your level 2 charger is here on this side. God, they're so slow. 2 motorized cap openings. Yikes. All right, let's look at these two front ends side by side. The Lucid appears to be a little bit wider, and it is on paper, but the design of it just seems a little bit more sleek, a little bit wider. The entry level to the hood is lower here, and you have this big light bar that goes around the front. It definitely looks like a more futuristic vehicle here. Simple as that. The lighting is seemingly more tech focused. I love these little air channelers here on the hood. It also looks a bit sportier than this e-tron, and it's crazy because the S6, this should be looking very sporty on the front. It almost looks identical to the Q6 and SQ6 e-tron that I reviewed earlier this year. Lots of glossy black down here. I mean, even the Lucid logo is illuminated. There we go. I mean, really, there's no comparison on the two front ends. I think the Lucid absolutely takes the cake here with not only the tech, but just a cleaner and better and sharper looking front end than the Audi. All right, looking at these two beautiful sedans from the side, the Lucid Air is noticeably lower, and it does activate with a key card that I have, as well as a key fob. I did have an issue, and it was raining out. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it was not letting me in. This car was not unlocking. That was day 1 when I got it. I haven't had that issue since. So let me know if you guys have had issues with your Lucid Airs locking and unlocking, and it's, you can tie it to your phone if you need to. All right, but yeah, it sits a little bit lower. I have the fully glass roof option there. This is a little bit easier to get in and out of, not a massive difference. So they both have 245 width tires in the front. The Lucid has 265s in the rear, even though it has more horsepower, I think, coming from that rear motor. And this is a 275 width rear tire on the back. These have 21-inch wheels. The Lucid has 20-inch wheels. You see those are more aero inspired. Door handles are also quite a bit different. These pop off the car as you approach, and these are kind of just built in, and they're not real door handles. There's no mechanism here. It is kind of like a touchpad sort of thing that opens or doesn't open, it just unlatches it electronically. All right, Lexus kind of does the same thing as well as other competitors out there. The Lucid definitely looks cleaner, more sleek from the side. All right, let's get to the back of these two sedans. Again, the roof height is noticeably lower here on this Touring Air. Parking sensors you can see on both of them. I mean, the back end of the Lucid, it's more smooth. Everything about it's more smooth, like a whale, and it drives kind of like a whale, and I mean that in the best way. All right, the 3D lights here, more impressive what you see on the Audi. I'll go ahead and play what it looked like when I was hitting the brakes a little bit ago. This down here, like the diffuser, it just looks a bit blocky and chunky and cheap compared to the Lucid. I can't believe I'm calling an Audi cheap looking from the outside, but compared to this car, that's kind of what it looks like. Everything's so smooth, so refined, so, I don't know, buttery smooth over here. And then we kind of have like a cottage cheese design over there. And it's not, it's the Audi S6 only looks bad because it's sitting next to this very futuristic, very elegant piece of art. Okay, let's get in the back here. I haven't needed to open up the boots all week, so let's see if there's any tricks. Oh, there we go. Appreciate that. Really impressive rear cargo here. Like seemingly, and yes, it's a lift back. The A6 and the S6 are lift backs. We also have this little privacy screen here, which is nice. A light right here. Pretty nice back area. There's a 12-volt accessory. Do I have a spare tire? I'm gonna go ahead and say, nope, that's a fix-a-flat kit. You have a subwoofer back there. All right, 40-20-40 split. Let's go and open up the Lucid. Hopefully there's no games I have to play. Oh, good, there's a button back there. I love the 3D tail lights, look really cool. You can't have a more different trunk opening. Look how wide this is. All right, but then you're gonna run into the wheel wells. The seat folds down 60-40, and then there's a ski pass through as well. Both of them have a big trunk, but that one's gonna be far more accessible due to it having a lift back. Oh my gosh, but look at this. Again, the front trunk was such a big win, or should I say the front was such a big win on the Lucid, and then you have this fake floor here with tons more cargo spaces, and then down below we have the Lucid proprietary charger. I shouldn't say proprietary, Lucid branded charger, maybe that's a better word for it. No spare tire here. It looks like there is also a 180 watt 12 volt back there, but no AC 120s that I see. All right, ooh, even more storage. So this is kind of your bag for your charging cable that fit right in through here. So just so much space in the back. And it's very clever space, a lot of hidden space. But again, that's going to be more usable to fit weirder sized objects in. And it's like right here, this is so low for me. This is just so much easier. And the Audi wins here in the trunk and the Lucid wins in the frunk. Let's close this down. Close that down. Satisfying. Again, the door handles here, just the slightest touch right here will open the door, just crack it open for you. Get into the back seat. I like the glass roof here. It is dimmable, electronically dimming, so it does kind of like, what else had that? The Nissan Leaf has that now. I like that feature, and you can control how much light you're letting in. All right, like the suede here, pretty good materials on the back, Bang & Olufsen sound system. The handle is pretty cheap feeling though. Matte pockets on each side. Pretty basic back seat though in terms of the materials in the center. I do have vents back here, heated outboard seats, a little climate control action, 2 USBs down below. Decent headroom. I sit pretty low in here as well, which I don't mind all that much. And I can fold down the armrest here, have a couple cup holders. All right, I have some map lights above me and some vents right here. So I like the dual vent action down below and right here. That's great for circulation. All right, sport seats are pretty nice. Let's go ahead and check out what the Lucid is like in the back. Okay, love the door handles that pop out. You don't have to think too much. They just, ooh, look, this opens 90 degrees. That's really nice for getting the kids in. A little skid plate here down below. It says Mojave, California. Gives you the coordinates as well immediately. Now this seat is pushed forward. Ooh, let's go ahead and snap those seats into place. Immediately this seat it's pushed forward, but like I said, the first thing you're going to notice is there is a lot more space back here. The packaging's better. The floor almost entirely flat. I don't know why it's what's down here. I don't know. There's just like a little tunnel down there. And I will say these mats, they feel a bit cheap compared to traditional auto mats because the little snap that they snap into is loose on the floor. All right, so it's like Lucid hasn't used enough adhesive for the base carpet here in this car. All right, but headroom is about the same. I have a nice leather wrapped strap up here, but yeah, this is a better backseat experience, I must say, compared to the Audi A nicer armrest that comes down with storage as well. That's pretty cool. I have a little screen in the back that, and I do have a rear sunshade, but let me tell you, the rear sunshade's kind of pointless because, well, the window's so small. So, and the headrests take up a lot of it. Oh, there's a little storage compartment here down the bottom to hide a drink or two. Vents here and vents here. So both the Lucid has that feature as well as the Audi. The back to the seats are probably a little bit nicer. I like the California Bear here. What about the materials on the door? Softer. I like this kind of ridge thing going on. It's unique. Fake wood looks good. All right. I would say, you know, the door handle was so cheap on the Audi that this is a little bit nice. It gets the nod. It's a little bit nice. And this does have sunshades built in back here that are controllable through the window switches. So this is a win in the back seat for the Lucid for sure. And the glass roof is pretty cool. I do have a bar that goes across where the Audi is, you can look straight up the roof. The glass roof on it is not quite as wide as this, but there's nothing other than the electric dimming part that like, ooh, this piece is coming off. This looks a little out of sorts here on the Lucid. It's not connected properly. So it's like a snap came off or something right here in the middle. So build quality between the carpet and this roof trimming, build quality seemingly better on the Audi. All right, and when you're spending a lot of money, that has to be a big consideration. It's been a lot, I will say this, it has been a lot easier to pick up the kids in this car this week because we have almost pickup truck / minivan size of rear leg room back here on the floor. Into the front seat of the Audi S6, a little bit of light, and that's the thing. I will say my girls would agree as well. They were disappointed by the Lucid's amount of ambient lighting, and maybe the Grand Touring fixes that, but anyways, this car has really cool ambient lighting, two-tone. You can set the color on top as well as the color on the bottom. Squirkly steering wheel, little S badge here. We have pretty cheap plasticky paddle shifters. I haven't touched them because the paddle shifters don't change the transmission, they just change the regen braking. And I've been driving this vehicle exclusively in B mode, which is one pedal driving. All right, so we'll put it back into park here. So back to the steering wheel, touch capacitive buttons here, pretty frustrating, honestly. Everything's so close together. You're going to fat finger these things at some point, all right? Yeah, I typically just don't mess with this screen because it's a bit frustrating and it is fairly complex as well. Cruise control dial down here. We have touch capacitive for mirror control. So I actually like this over the Lucid, which is all in the touchscreen. This is touch capacitive, but this stays here. All right, and so I like, you know, how fast and easy I can set my memory seats here. My window switches are close to me. And what else about this? Okay, the materials in the inside, well, my ventilated seats are really loud, so let's turn those down. This does have massaging seats, but it's just the top cushion, a bit of a miss. All right, but they are nice. They are. I'll take any massaging seat I can get. The Bang & Olufsen sound system is fantastic. I'd say it's equally as good, at least to my novice ears, compared to that sound system in the Lucid Air. I have a head-up display on this car. The other one doesn't, and I'm able to customize it quite easily here. You can see through this. Display contents. It's, for some reason, I'm able to customize it to my liking a lot better than what I was able to on the Q6 e-tron that I drove earlier this year, the SUV variant of this car, essentially. All right. AC between the two cars, I will give it the nod to this car, even though both of them are hard to direct the air vents to your face. This one's a little bit higher, but yeah, ideally the air vents would be much higher than where they are in both cars. USBs, real easy to get to. All right, kind of, you also have your wireless charger back there. I mean, I've talked about this quite a bit in my reviews of these Audi electric cars, that this is okay. It is kind of cheap feeling though, or cheap looking. This bezel, it kind of looks like a Buick. Most of the time I've been staying in this screen, and then I use a drive select here to get into different modes. And this but I believe both of these have air ride suspension. All right, so you can lower the car. I like being in efficiency mode for no other reason than it showing my miles per kilowatt hour here. Otherwise, if you're not in efficiency mode, it'll just say, oh, we'll tell you at what percentage of power you're using. So it's a bit frustrating. All the Audi e-trons are like this. You know, you can't get your miles per kilowatt hour unless you're in efficiency or efficiency plus mode. So I just stay most of the time in efficiency mode because I like knowing what kind of miles per kilowatt hour I'm currently getting. Now, I can always see what my average is regardless of drive mode, but that's just me. Most people might not care about it. A lot of glossy black here. So while I like the suede throughout the car, okay, I don't like the glossy black here at all. It looks pretty cheap. It's dirty already despite cleaning it. Volume knob over here, it's kind of opposite. If you have cups in here, getting to this vol knob is going to be a pain. I'm saying, Kirk, just use the volume knob, volume on the steering wheel, but it's a touch capacitive and it's, you know, I can slide up and down with it, but it's just nothing ever feels as good as a real knob or button. I think most of you would agree. Suede on the armrest here. All right, and let's use this cloth to wipe off all the dust of this glossy black area. All right, there's also a hidden storage compartment underneath there. All right, seat comfort. Well, I like the thigh extension here. Seat comfort's pretty good. These seats are pretty stiff. You know, I don't have the same sort of overall control, I think, compared to that car. But you know, both of these car seats are fantastic from my testing. Pretty simple rear view mirror here. The visibility out the back is not good in this car. I will say that. The window's small in both of them, but you really have to tilt this up to be able to see behind you. All right, more traditional visors here on this car compared to the other cars you'll find out in a little bit. So the tech here is good, but materials could be better. My kids love this screen over here. It only lets them play when they're at a stop, but there's a built-in kind of like beach buggy race game that they love. So my kids would probably pick this car over the other car. But yeah, let's get in the other car because it does a lot of things better than this car. See, camera on the Audi is pretty basic. I would say the refresh rate on it is slow. But I do like all the sensors that it has, and it does tell me on the head-up display as well as here, like how close I am to things. It'll give me an inch-by-inch basis. So it is a really good 360 camera, not quite as futuristic as the Lucid, but for all intents and purposes, they work just as well at protecting the car. Doesn't have the curb rash warning that the Lucid has, though. Inside the Lucid Air, fast closing, soft closed doors. You know, it just feels so much more spacious in here compared to the Audi. That is for sure. These seats have tons of customization. So let me show you the party trick. All right, the tablet folds out of the dash. And then I go to car. Right, there's kind of 4 sub menus down here. Or should I say main menus, and then you get into seats, and then you can customize your seat in tons of different ways. Thigh extension in here as well. I really like these seats. The massaging seats are better in here. They're not the most uniform. For example, like it massages my left side of my butt more than my right side. Like it only goes up so far. It's weird. Anyways, it's fine. It's still a good massaging seat, I would say. My kids, when they do sit up here, they like the massaging seat on the opposite side. All right, charging. I like that I can set my amp limitation. All right, pretty easily here. The scheduling's really easy. I can open the charge port from here. I can set the charge limit if I want it to be, you know, 80% for longevity, that sort of thing. Like, the software in here overall is better. It's snappier, it's easier to fly through because everything is through the touchscreen. However, I will give them this. They have manual buttons for temperature and fan speed. That's something that the Audi doesn't have. Everything is through the touchscreen there, if I remember right. So also the volume knob here, or it's a scroll wheel, it's okay. I prefer the volume knob in the Audi, but this is actually in a better location. The vents are all low. Audi has one that is up here. The S6 has one that's up here, so it's a little bit better. Like when you have long skinny, I mean not very tall vents, it's really, really difficult in my testing to get that small channel of air to hit your face properly. So while it does have good AC, you really have to crank it because you're not getting direct AC. It has to be entire cabin AC to cool the whole vehicle down. All right. The steering wheel, I think it's okay. You know, Lexus is doing this too with the new ES, for example. This does volume over here. This does like fast forward and like rewind a little bit on SiriusXM. It doesn't go to presets. I haven't tried my Android Auto music in it, but with SiriusXM, it does. It doesn't go to my next preset. To get to my next preset, I'll show you how to do that. And also, SiriusXM, more than any other car I've been in, is hit or miss in this car. Like, there are times where it just can't find station or just doesn't have any service, which is bizarre. This is Android Auto. I don't know why I have zero service right now. It's not loading. But it only takes, I have all the screen space. Android Auto takes up like 6 inches. This is a joke. This is really bad. It's better than no Apple CarPlay, like a GM product, for example, on their EVs, but this is really bad. Anyways, yeah, you know, my music, oh, there it goes. Okay, let me play something. I'll mute it real quick. Let's play some Dre. Okay, so this does change the next song, at least when it comes to Android Auto, but it doesn't do it in SiriusXM. So let's get into SiriusXM real quick. I don't mind the SiriusXM integration in here, for example. I like going to my favorites. And by the way, look at this. I swipe down, my favorites are here, and I can individually pick. I think that's amazing if you are a SiriusXM person, but I really like this screen down here. It's so easy to work with. Here are your drive modes. You can play with the steering wheel, the mirrors. I can unlock the doors, but I can also unlock the doors from up here. I can open the charging port from here. I have quick exhaust, quick defrost up here. There is no exhaust on this car. I can control my lights up here and my windshield wipers. This is really cool. I can also have a manual windshield wiper turn oner right here on the turn signal stock. Well, you'll see it when I'm driving. I have a blind spot view monitor. I have a frunk opener over here as well. The window switches are really far forward here. It's kind of weird, but it's okay. The door handles are also strange. You have to pull this lever back on the door instead of a traditional handle. This screen here is a bit frustrating, and yes, I do have different themes I can go through. I really don't care. I haven't been playing with this much at all. But with the different themes, it doesn't give me any sort of customization up here. It doesn't really change, it just changes the color of the screen. And this is always empty, at least from what I can figure out with the car. All right, so that is empty. And if I go to the car here, I go to trip, this is the only thing I can select on this side. I can't select my miles per kilowatt hour, which is up here. And I can put different trip distances, but it doesn't give me, you know, trip efficiency. I have to go to this driver efficiency screen, which is kind of in the trip, to see what I'm getting. It's been a bit frustrating. As complex as the Audi's software is and how user-friendly it is not, at least I can customize it a lot more than what I have here. All right, so there are give and takes with each car's software. I prefer the ease of use here on this car, but I like the customization that you can get on that car. All right, 360 camera here. I mean, it's no comparison. This car, as I pull forward, it's so much. I'll come close to my Prius here. You can see it. It'll give me updates on the inches here. It's just amazing, amazing camera integration. Really big fan of it, and well done in that regard, Lucid. Materials are good. Materials are way better than they are in the Audi. It's more roomy and spacious in here, even though I'm sitting down. Oh, I didn't talk about this. This glass roof, I think it's awesome. I haven't got too toasty, but it isn't the peak of summer either. Now, these mirrors, like, I have all this visibility above me, which is amazing, but like this mirror, well, or should I say this visor, which has a little iPad cover mirror on it, magnetic. It's okay, all right? You know, I like the suede headliner, but like oftentimes, since I like having that visibility above me, which is very unique to not have that, you know, frame that covers off the top of your windshield. I kind of like move this to here so I can see as little visor as possible, just as the thinnest part of the visor, and I can see more above me and have more of that really nice ambient light and scenery come through. All right, let's get on the road. I just recorded for about 20 minutes driving this car, thinking I was recording, but I forgot to press record. So summary, as I got 0 to 60 in 3.64 seconds with the launch control. It's so fast, very, very fast. This car, the SQ6, is very smooth. Ride quality, very smooth, even in the efficiency mode that I'm in. All right. Let's get around this Mercedes that wants to beat us to the interstate. I'm getting 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour, and that's a great thing about an electric car. You can just run lights, no problem. All that instant power and torque. It's a light running machine. Now there's also around 60 to 65 miles an hour this weird effect that seems to come from the rear motor, and it shakes the car a bit. My daughter's noticed this too. It kind of feels like a diesel engine thumping away back there. You hear the like the shaking going on in the car, like it almost like the wheels are shaking a little bit from like 60 to 65. I don't know if this is on all S6s, but that is a bit concerning because it should be buttery smooth at all speeds. Also, dynamic mode has ridiculous noises to it. Another reason I'm never in this mode. And here at 60, there's that weird reverb going on. It's just that synthetic noise is so ridiculous, and the car doesn't feel any faster than it does in efficiency mode. Maybe the pedal's more responsive, like a little bit more like trigger happy, but even in efficiency mode, it's super fast. Super quiet. I think it might even be quieter than the Lucid. There's no electric motor whine here. I sit up really high in this for a sedan, or at least compared to the Lucid, which you sit really low like a coupe. I prefer sitting lower, to be honest, but that's just me. Yeah, like the steering is also very twitchy, and the pedals are very twitchy. So it's very like small inputs have a big impact here, and that's absolutely true for the S lineup throughout all Audis, whether electric or not. You know, the steering's much more sharp and fast, and the pedals have a lot more twitchiness to them. So it's a lot easier to drive this car more quickly compared to the Lucid. All right, I'm going 75, and this road is typically really loud, and even with these 21-inch wheels, it's really quiet. Like, if I strain myself, I can hear the air noise, the wind noise, and I have a little bit of tire noise. But this thing is just floating down the freeway right now. All right, I need to go ahead and play with my efficiency here. Again, in town, it was 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour to 3.5, so about 330 miles of range in town, but on the highway really is all that matters. So let's go ahead and let's reset this right here. And these driving, whatever my efficiency is here on our highway, is going to give us a better idea of your highway range, which means a lot more than city range. It's more applicable. City range doesn't mean much. You can always charge at home. All right. Let's see here. Am I set? Yep, I'm set here at 74. I can raise it with the stock one at a time, which is nice. Yeah, it's just, I just want to like sink down in my seat and let this thing kind of take over a bit. I have disabled the steering assist, so it's not keeping me in place right now. Let's see if I can figure out how to, okay, there's a shortcut button here. All right, let's see here, lane assist, lane guidance. Okay, let's turn that on. Okay, And there we go. Lane guidance is on. I don't need to nanny the steering as much on the freeway. Does it turn my lanes for me? Does not turn lanes for me, but I'm gonna get over. Just checking that I recorded it this time. All right, so maintaining 75 here, it seems to be getting 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is probably right around 300 miles of range. So pretty impressive though. 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour is nothing to sneeze at. And I'm going to get off the freeway and can we do it? Can we do it? Yeah, that's a great thing about electric cars. Just so much power, especially this car, so much power. It's easy to sneak around people at any given moment to cut lines, whether it's a line to get off the freeway or a long like turn signal line. You can kind of weave your way in through traffic. Like there's nothing better than an EV for slicing and dicing through traffic, just due to your instant torque, your instant power at all times. You know, sometimes like a real light, fun hot hatch is like the GTI is really good at slicing through traffic, but all right, you know, not all gas cars. In fact, most gas cars are not very good at getting in and out of traffic. This thing, it's just super easy. It's an easy button for getting where you want to get when you want to get there. All right, driving the Lucid versus the Audi, even though they're electric cars, is very, very different. Obviously, I'm much lower to the ground here. My visibility is better with this cool glass roof, which is optional. I know it's expensive, but when you're spending this much money on a car, it's not that big of a deal. If you want it, go get it. It's pretty freaking cool. However, okay, I know I'll get back to the differences between this and the Audi. The glass in this car is not good. And I have warping not only through the back windshield, which that's acceptable because I'm not looking through the back, even though the visibility is better than the Audi through the back. Or I have a wider windshield back there, etc. Anyways, I have a warp right in the middle of my windscreen. And maybe because this piece of glass is so big, it's hard for them to get really high quality pieces of glass. And you know, I've only seen warpage like this bad, maybe on like a cheap Nissan before. Like this is not acceptable, where I move my head and it kind of like, it's almost like you're in a fun house where like the mirror and the glass is kind of warped. It's not, I'm used to it at this point, but when a car of this cost and class, I'm expecting no weirdness going on with the glass, and I absolutely do have that here. All right, another difference versus the Audi is just I feel less claustrophobic in here, and it's also the ride quality is not as good. It's a little bit bumpier here. However, it only feels like subpar because the Audi is so damn smooth. The Audi's ride quality is like a cloud. This is really, really impressive ride quality here. And it has smaller wheels, like you have 20-inch wheels versus the Audi's 21. It's just that the ride quality is on another level with that Audi compared to this Lucid. All right, driving characteristics is very different. This drives like an old school luxury car. It's kind of boaty. It feels a lot bigger than the Audi, mainly because I just have more space in here. But like I said, the exterior dimensions are very similar between the two cars. What else is going to say about the Audis? Everything about the Audi's inputs are so direct. It's so much easier to slice and dice through traffic because small presses on the pedal and small inputs into the steering on the Audi are like 3 times more responsive than here. Now, I do like the one pedal driving in here, sort of. What do I mean by that? Well, it gives me more regen braking. It's very doled out. It's very forgiving with the one pedal driving. One of the big issues I have with the one pedal driving, even though it has great regen capabilities versus the Audi, meaning I can have stronger G-forces decelerating with the one pedal driving versus the Audi. The Audi, I have to use the brakes a lot more, the brake pedal. The issue I have with this car is when I come to a stop, when I expect it to stop, it goes for another like 3, 4, 5 feet. And it doesn't stop where I want it to stop. To smooth out the stopping experience, which can be tricky on electric cars, just ask Nissan, okay? But when you're trying to come to a stop and do it smoothly, it then kind of takes over and like slows out again. Even though I got to a slow spot, it just continues to pull forward and drag you forward the next 3, 4, 5 feet. It's a weird thing, and I bet it causes a little bit of nausea with the occupants. All right, because I oftentimes, when I'm coming where I expect the car to stop and go traffic, it keeps pulling forward and the car almost pulls itself into the back of the car in front of you. And then it lights up, the proximity sensors, the 360 camera, that sort of thing. All right, you guys, the steering is direct. I just threw it in here, and this is kind of a school zone, so I don't want to, it's not flashing anymore. But, I still don't have GPS, so I can't do 0 to 60. That's frustrating. But, while in theory this should accelerate really similarly to the Audi, it's always so much more work because the pedals travel is so much further. And some people might like that. Personally, for me, I prefer how the Audi drives. I like the sharpness of the steering and the sharpness of the pedal, despite this having stronger regen brakes. And while this car is amazingly quiet, I have acoustic glass everywhere, it's not as quiet as the Audi. The Audi is just so incredibly refined. This car, I feel like the software is very refined, even though I want more customization, like I mentioned. There are certain things about this car, like it's so impressive for a first attempt. I know they've been making this car for 4 years at this point or something like that. Maybe we're on the 5th model year. Was the first model year 2021? I don't remember. All right, but like this car is very impressive for a first attempt at a vehicle. Like, it's better than most luxury cars, and I mean that in all honesty. It is absolutely amazing. Also, the engine whine here is something that the Audi has none of. Now, the Audi has that weird reverberation from 60 to 65 that worries me. The motors on this car are so, I don't know, efficient. I guess I can get into the efficiency here in a little bit, but like Lucid didn't take away the motor whine. I think that's by intention. All right. Motor whine, while it crescendos like a gasoline engine does as it goes through the rev range, it's not a pleasant sound where a gasoline engine's a lower hum noise. This is just kind of intrusive, the engine whine, or should I say the motor whine. I don't like it. Now, when you're just cruising, you don't have it, which is fascinating. But when I accelerate, I hear that motor whine. All right, so it's not a deal breaker, but I feel like I would rather have the quietness of the Audi's motors and overall quietness of the Audi over what this car offers, even though what this car offers is still fantastic. All right. And let's get into efficiency here, which since I don't have it up here and I can't figure out how to put it up there, I have to go to trip, and then I'm getting about the same efficiency in town. Despite this car being lighter. I was expecting, and I haven't taken on the highway, we're driving to the highway right now. The highway is where maybe this car has a big advantage over the Audi, but in town driving, the Audi was 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. This is 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So almost margin of error there. No, my best was 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if you do the right things in this car, keeping AC to a minimum, which I can't really do here. I mean, it's 81 degrees at 10 o'clock still in late October. But yeah, 3.9 would be probably like peak miles per kilowatt hour in town. Now, I'm seeing 3.28 over the last 700 miles. I personally didn't drive most of those miles. I've driven about 140 miles on the car so far this week, all city at this point. All right. Again, getting through traffic here is easy, but not quite as sharp as the Audi. The Audi, I sit up higher, so I feel like I can see around a little bit better. But you know, both of them are such fantastic driving cars. This one's just a little bit more like soft feeling, and more relaxed, more true luxury feeling, where the Audi is sport first and foremost. That's obvious, being an S car. But the Audi, like, everything in about it, even when you're in efficiency mode, is so twitchy, so direct. I appreciate that as a car enthusiast, but sometimes maybe you want like a more relaxing experience. The seats here are more comfortable than the Audi. I have more customization with these seats. The massaging seats are better. All right, I sit into these seats more. They're softer, where the Audis are you sit more on top. It's a little bit firmer with those sports seats. So there are a couple different driving modes. It defaults into smooth, and I'm pretty happy with that, and I think that's very accurate. And what's cool here is I can see above my visor the lights instead of like stooping down. Anyways, there's a swift mode. Okay, and you can choose your regen braking when you do that too. So I like that a lot, because a lot of times when you go to different drive modes, it might change your regen braking on different cars. Anyways, there's a sprint and swift mode, the activate launch mode, which I'm still waiting for my drag meter to pop up. And you might be saying, Kirk, you should just be in sprint mode all the time if you're worried about, you know, the inputs of this car not keeping up with the Audi. Even in sprint mode, it still feels very like soft compared to the Audi. The steering is just a little bit more numb. It still is happy to turn in though, and it still handles well, but because my seating height is so low here, I can't necessarily like fly through traffic the way I want to, because my vantage point isn't quite as good. And also, I'm not as comfortable, as odd as it sounds, I'm not as comfortable with this car. It's so big on the inside that my perception of the car on the outside is also huge. I can't see the hood at all. And like I said, the dimensions are about the same as the Audi, but I'm just not as confident flying through traffic as I am like the Audi. All right, and the Audi, I would have seen this Kia here on the other side as well, but I couldn't. Since I'm so low in this car, I can't really see around stuff. So it's a very unique driving experience. Overall, really, really positive. But for spirited driving, I prefer driving the Audi, and just for overall comfort, I prefer driving this car. So it's just kind of what are you looking for? I will say the cruise control in here is not quite as intuitive. I'll press the cruise control button, I get a little different hands-free driving assist screen up here, and then I have to press the center button here to lock it in. Okay, I'm locked in right now, hands-free driving enabled. Pretty amazing. The Audi had really good lane centering technology, but didn't have hands-free. And the only time this thing actually does anything on this side is I think it's speed control. Yeah, it's speed control and setting your cruise control. All right, so this over here is only for highway usage essentially, where this is for volume and sometimes preset, sometimes live music. All right, as well as your voice assistant, but I never really use those unless it's Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, Siri or Google Assistant. All right, so we're gonna do some highway range driving here to see what kind of like miles per kilowatt hour we're gonna see. Right now I'm just driving at like 70. That's just what I wish I was going 75. This is a little bit better here. See if I can force it to go 75. Okay, we're doing 75, and again, there's no like instant readout for efficiency in this car. It's frustrating. For an EV, you think you would have all those things nailed down. This car just doesn't have it. I can't put it up here, my efficiency or anything like that. So right now it says we're getting, let's just say 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour at 75. which I think is a little bit better than the Audi. I already forget. I drove the Audi yesterday. I think the Audi was like at 3, maybe it was about the same, 3.2, 3.3. All right, so even though this is lower, you know, maybe this would have better efficiency, you know, the faster you're going compared to the Audi because it's so low. But the Audi with, you know, its air ride suspension does drop pretty low. All right, so yeah, I'll go ahead. We'll just say 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour at 75, and that's the sort of range we're going to see here on the highway. In town, it was 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So in-town efficiency is slightly better here, and it looks like highway efficiency is about the same. And the Audi has a bigger battery pack. All right, I thought Lucid was going to be the king of efficiency. Everyone says how efficient they are, but at least from my short testing here, Audi has equaled or come really darn close anyways to equaling Lucid's efficiency on the highway as well as city driving. Now, I would say this has less wind noise. It's pretty close actually. About the same wind noise compared to the Audi at highway speeds, but the Audi was really impressive at highway speeds. So the Audi's quieter in town, but I would say on the highway they are about the same, which is very impressive that the Lucid has caught up to the Audi in terms of overall noise suppression on the highway. Like, this is really, really nice, really smooth, really overall very efficient, but this is where I was expecting this. Now it's up to about 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour, so I'll update that now with the theoretical range. If you go to 0 to 100%, right, it's now at about 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour, and that's at 75 miles an hour. If you're driving slower than that, your range could go through the roof. And again, keep in mind, there's the Grand Touring, which has the much bigger battery pack. It has like an extra 20 kilowatt hour battery pack, and those can get, in theory, over 500 miles of range. I would have to test it to validate that claim. That's awfully lofty. All right, so anyways, I'm more comfortable here. I have great visibility out on the highway, and I feel like the visibility, even though in town, is not quite as good compared to the Audi because you sit up higher in the Audi, but this has just so much glass, even though the windows are small over here. It's just like, this glass roof is just amazing to have for highway trips. You'd be able to like glance at the birds above you, the clouds. It's really, really more of a beautiful and intimate experience in this car. If I have to hang out in a car, I'd rather hang out in this car than we're getting rocks slung into us by these trucks. Oh my God. There's a sand. Oh my God. Frick. Get me out of this hell, this rock hell. Oh my gosh. That's some of the worst rock spray I've ever seen I'm still getting it. Anyways, I feel bad for the Lucid because the windshield was getting peppered, the bumper and the paint is getting peppered. Oh man, good thing it's not my car. I can give this back and not be stressed out about it. All right, oh man, what about the performance here? Let's just pedal down. Gosh. Yep, she can fly on the highway, that's for sure. My goodness, is she fast. All right, I better close it down before I get myself into any more trouble. Fantastic highway car, just like the Audi is. This one's just a little bit more cozy, a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed on the inside versus the enclosed Audi, the stuffy and cheap feeling Audi. God. Oh my God. There's 60. I didn't have a lot of time to do it. Oh, my drag meter didn't work. Son of a small gripe, but the cabin is super quiet. There never creaks and rattles except for the steering wheel. This time of day, or when it gets a little bit warmer, the steering column here creaks and rattles. This is too cheap. This should be a completely silent part, but you touch the steering wheel, and it's going to creak and rattle at you. I know it might not come across on the camera, but for a car that is so quiet, an EV that is so quiet, other than the engine whine or the motor whine, you have unnecessarily crackling plastics around the steering column. At first I thought it was a screen. No, it's not the screen, it's a steering wheel, and you're touching it all the time, which then increases the amount you hear the crackling steering column. Well, we're going to hold my arm out the window because the glass has some sort of GPS effect here on my race box. Oh my god. Oh my god. 3.29 seconds. Don't need to do that again. It's definitely faster than the Audi. I mean, it has more horsepower, right? Like, I don't know, 60 more horsepower or something. And it's lighter too. 3.44 to 100 kilometers per hour. This thing is, yes, you can feel it. It feels faster than the Audi, but that's in perfect conditions. I wouldn't even say these are perfect conditions, but that's like when you launch these cars, it's faster. And all other ways, the Audi feels faster because the pedal's just so much more responsive. You press it just a little bit in the Audi and it gives you like twice as much power as this car. The only way to get the full power here is like, whoa, the really long travel of the pedal. So on paper, this is a faster car, but in everyday use, the Audi is so much easier to drive fast. And let's just get into the acceleration again. Like, that's not even full. That was like about 80-90% throttle, and it's just like, that's enough for me. And I cannot imagine the power of the Grand Touring. 100, is it 800 horsepower? I already forget. And then there's a Sapphire, which is over 1,000. So it's just like, I mean, this has all the power I could ever want. Ever want. The Grand Touring, I would get it not for the extra output, I would get it for the extra range. All right, and the Sapphire, well, that's just you know, to be the king of the hill here in the US. We don't have the Chinese EVs here that have just endless amounts of power. So the Sapphire against something like the Model S Plaid, the Sapphire, I can guarantee you, is a better car than the Model S Plaid. These are two of the best EVs I've ever driven, and for their own unique ways. I mean, they couldn't be, other than being technically sedans, one's a liftback, they couldn't be any different from each other, despite being both fast as the Dickens, if that's even a phrase. We'll use it for today. Looking at Air Touring, the one I tested was over $100,000. You can get it for $78,000, $75,000. It's an amazing deal. It's cheaper than the S6 I just drove. Okay, so I don't need the fancier sound system. I don't need that glass roof, which it is cool. I get it. This looks like an amazing deal. Under 80K for a faster, slightly efficient car, slightly, very slightly, compared to the S6. It's a really solid buy. Okay, now again, the car I test drove today, I got the you know, what did it have? It had the Fathom Blue, which is $800. It had the highway driving assist, $2,500, which is hands-free. Don't need it. It's cool. It helps you turn left or overtake in the left lane, but it wouldn't overtake in the right lane. I thought that was weird. It has 21 speaker surround sound. I guarantee the bass sound system's really good as well. So the surround sound was $2,900. The canopy roof was $4,000. For me in Florida, as much as I loved it, I'd probably save the $4,000 and not get it because, well, it does get warm. The 20-inch wheels were $1,750. What we're looking at here on the screen are the 19-inch wheels, which are, well, this one's $78K and it has the 20-inch wheels. It also had the comfort and convenience package, which had the soft closed doors, the power frunk, the power rear side window shades, 4-zone climate control, heated precision wiper. I don't need any of that. That's $3,000. I don't need that comfort and convenience package whatsoever. The soft closed doors are cool. They kind of freaked me out a bit with how fast they were though.
20-way front seats with massage, that's a maybe. That's almost $4,000. It's $3,750. I don't know. And the stealth appearance on it is a $3,500 upgrade. They all look stealthy to me. So I could leave that for $3,500. So over $100,000, no way. What you see on the screen, get a Touring. Don't spend over 80 grand on a Touring. If you are going to spend 80 grand on a Touring, go get a Grand Touring. Or if you're going to, especially once you're over 100 grand, just get the full shebang. Get this thing. I mean, get the 800 horsepower. Who cares at that point? Just go big. Ooh, what's the Tahoe leather? I want to look at this. I have not seen every configuration. All right. It's kind of like a saddle tan. I guess that might have been similar to what I had, to be honest. Actually, no, I didn't have the tan seats in the back. It's okay. It's just okay. Anyways, yeah. Also, I think the Pure is an amazing deal. Under $70,000 for 430 horsepower, all the 0 to 60 you really need under 5 seconds, 4.5 seconds. 430 horsepower. This is going to be a lot more efficient too. Yes, it's a smaller battery pack. Let me pull up my spreadsheet real quick. The battery or the range in theory, it says 420 miles. Mine was rated at 377, and I did not get 377 miles of range. Okay, or at least with my testing. So what about, there's hardly any S and A6 e-trons in my area. So it's hard to compare. I could just go to Miami or have them deliver this from Miami. It'd be at my doorstep probably tomorrow if I wanted to buy one of these things. Audi, within 150-mile radius, there are only 9 e-trons, and that includes the Q6, not the Q8. Because I've driven the Q6 this year, I've driven the SQ6, and now the S6. And I mean, I would take this easily over both the Q6 and the SQ6. Those were really good cars, but this is a lot more fun to drive the S6 over the Q6 and the SQ6, and it costs about the same amount as money as a Q6. All right, so yeah. Anyway, 76 grand for an S6. Let's look at the Touring again. About the same amount of money if you don't put on every single option. All right. What other car would I put up there? Well, there's the Genesis G80 electric. I know it's been discontinued, but if you're looking for an amazing luxury sedan, it's not quite as fast. It's like 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. But if you can find one of these, maybe used, new and used here. There are 4 other ones in my area. 39 grand. My gosh, I'm tempted. This was one of my favorite luxury sedans ever. Only 35 grand for one of these things. Oh my gosh. Awesome deal. I know it's just kind of an honorable mention because they don't make it anymore. So I ranked these both in A tier. These are some of the best EVs I've driven. All right. One's not better than the other. It just depends on what you want. You get the S6 e-tron for actually a little bit better range. However, if you're comparing rear-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, Lucid versus A6, the Lucid might come out on top. And the Lucid, I mean, the S6 is just so unique with its handling, its power, and its performance, and just blending that with crazy smoothness. Okay, some of the downfalls though, wasn't a big fan of the clunky software. Touchpad on the steering wheel, yikes. The materials were not good, poor rear visibility, and needs more regen brake capacity. I like the one pedal driving here better. However, I just want a little bit more regen braking. We go to the Lucid, and this is a car that if you want to impress your friends with 0 to 60, it is so futuristic looking. I got so much attention in this car this week that it's something you got to be prepared for. If you're in a Tesla, if you're in an Audi, you're not going to get the attention. This car is a neck snapper. It is so cool looking, and people love looking at it. So it's still got that futuristic and unique look to it, and you're going to be under a spotlight. Okay, I like the roomy interior, I like the great materials. It's really fast. It's smooth. The Audi is capital smooth. It takes it to the next level. Great sound system. So did the Audi. I like the frunk, and the hands-free driving was good. Cons. This thing was rated at 377 miles of range. I got nowhere close to that. Typically, I am able to overshoot ranges with these cars. What about that? I mean, let me look at the Audi real quick. The Audi's rated at 302 miles, and I got 310 on the highway. In town, let me get real quick. In town, I was getting 3.5 times 332 miles in town. And on the Lucid, it was 3.6 times 92 usable 92. It's about the same. Their range is almost identical, but if you look in my testing, the range is identical city and highway, roughly. I mean, margin of error almost. But if you look, Lucid's range on paper on the Monroney that I'm looking at is can you see that? 377, and this says 302. Audi's is estimating the range correctly, and Lucid is doing a bit of that Tesla game work where they're choosing to overinflate their range, at least from my perspective. Okay, and that's a bit misleading. I got nowhere close to this range in flat, warm Florida. Maybe the AC systems are really inefficient on the Lucid, but I find that hard to believe. I think that these estimated ranges are overinflated, where Audi is very, very, very realistic and very close to what I was seeing. All right. And that's in good weather. Imagine when these things are in cold weather, if I'm at 303 miles of range on the Touring, okay, with these 20-inch wheels, what's going to happen when it's cold? 200 miles of range, even though the estimated range is closer to 400. Let's finish off the comparison here. Laggy XM. In fact, it was so bizarre because I had this week, I had issues with my phone connecting GPS. I've never had that before. Because the glass on this car, the glass roof is so weird. It's screwing up the GPS signals not only on my phone, but also on my drag meter. Okay, so that's a $4,000 headache I'll just get rid of, and I'll get the aluminum roof and not have to worry about it. There's no preset skip on the steering wheel. It locked me out in the rain once, and I had to put my key card on it on the the B pillar to unlock it. Loud motor whine, creaky steering wheel column, odd stop creep. It could be better. Warped glass as well on the front windshield and rear windshield, which is unacceptable in such a good car or such an expensive car. So they both have a lot of strengths and weaknesses. It's just like, do you want a more safe buy from a reliable car brand? Or I wouldn't say Audi makes the most reliable cars, but at least the dealer networks that are for you. Are you ready to take a chance into something that's going to get you a lot of looks, something that's going to make you feel like you're in a different car? I mean, the Audi is it feels very much like a gasoline car when you get into it. There's a start-stop button. Everything is where you kind of would expect it in a gasoline car, where you get in the Lucid and it's like you're in a spaceship. This is a different level of technology, and it is fantastic. I really like both of these cars. If I was taking a road trip, I'd probably take the Lucid. For daily driving, I like the Audi more. Simple as that. Let me know which car you prefer. I think they're both fantastic buys. I think they're very competitively priced, especially when you don't add on all that, like $20,000 of stuff that was on the, what's the base price? The base price of the Lucid was $78,900, and it was ballooned all the way up to $102,000 with all the options on it. And honestly, none of those options were worth it, other than maybe the massaging seats, in my opinion. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your favorite of the two is down below, of the Audi e-tron S6 and the Lucid Air Touring. I might just get an Air Pure and call it a day. Okay, and I'm going to get 99% of the same experience that I had, except with more efficiency and better range than the Touring model that I had on tap for you guys today. Have a great one. I appreciate you. Stay safe out there. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.